Welcome back to this week's Real Country File. I'm stood in a field of OSR looking at the companion crop within it. So it's got some vetch, it's got some fenugreek and some clover, and it all seems to be romping away, which hopefully is giving nitrogen to the OSR, and it's supposed to disguise the plants from attack from flea beetle and the like. Luckily we don't struggle with flea beetle in the northwest. I think it's just too wet, but I'm pretty pleased with it. It's just, it looks a strange weedy crop at the moment because you have got the likes of these things popping up out of the top of it. Well, I'm pretty pleased with it. It's out the woods. The pigeons can't get, sorry, the pigeons can get it now, but they aren't, and I think the cover crop's helping. Also, it's out of the trouble of the slugs now. We've got another field though that's struggling a little bit with slugs, but that's a field of wheat. The OSR is now completely out of the woods. I've still got my stack of straw behind me as well. Still waiting for the price to rise because I need it to. Livestock guys obviously don't want it to go up, but I could do with it going up. And then it's worth the cost of baling and taking off the field. Wheat markets have come back quite a lot this week, which is a bit of a shame. Again, because fertiliser prices haven't at the moment. Anyway, this week Stephen is chatting to a guy who's got some Ayrshire cows in Lancashire, James Seedall, and Angela is visiting in Norbury in Cheshire, looking at his Aberdeen Angus bulls, which are in high demand at the moment. So over to Angela.
Today on the Real Country File, I'm here on a beef farm in Cheshire talking to Ian Norbury about the activities that he gets up to on his farm with the beef cattle and the breeding and the sales, and also other activities involved in the farming and growing on this establishment. So let's have a chat to him in the beef shed now. Right, so I'm here with Ian in his shed with this very beautiful animal here. So Ian, just tell us a bit more about this this beast in front of you.
So this is one of our stock bulls.
Okay.
So we run 120 suckler cows roughly.
Is it Angus?
All Aberdeen Angus, yeah. Most of them are pedigree. Not all of them are purebred at the minute, but most are pedigree. So we over them 120 cows. We run 3 stock bulls. So these bulls have been in for probably 8 weeks now. We grow lots of different species of grass. So we've started to grow a lot of chicory, plantain, and different sward mixes, which are working really, really well for us.
So this is a handsome chap here. So I believe that you took him to the Cheshire show. Is that right?
Yeah. So we've never shown any animals before, or ultra trained any animals before, and then we do some work with the NFU, speakers to schools, going in speaking to school kids and stuff like that. So the NFU asked us if we'd go in their education tent at the NFU this last year, and would we take an animal with us too. So we decided to take electric and ultra trained him, which went really, really well considering I'd never done it before. So off we went to the Cheshire show for 2 days, and he was so well behaved. He was absolutely amazing, and it was great because he wasn't really in the farming part. It was more like the I'm trying to think of the right terminology. More the general consumer part sort of thing, with like school kids and more general public than typical farmers. So it was really good that they got a chance to get up and close to animals and see the actual size of them and speak to me about them. And I found it really, really interesting, really rewarding.
And were there any sort of common misconceptions at all that you had to, try and alleviate people's issues or concerns at all, or not?
I think most people just generally didn't realise there's a difference between a dairy animal and a beef animal, and what them differences were. The funniest thing was we have electronic tags in all animals, so we took our stick reader that reads electronic tags, and we took a ring and stuff that kids can get hold of and physically touch, because that's really good for them. And quite a lot of the kids decided that the stick reader was maybe a taser in case it got out of control. That was quite funny. But no, really good, really enjoyed doing it, really enjoyed educating them about it and stuff, and electric was just amazing too.
So how many bulls have you got here at the moment then?
At the minute we've got these 3 stock bulls this side, and then just behind you we've got 8 bulls that we've got for sale. So we would have had probably 28 at the start of the year. We're down to 6 at the minute because 2 of these I've literally just sold just before you turned up. So that's a good day. So yeah, we're down to 6 bulls to sell that would have been born 2021, and that's really picking up now with I suppose it'll be autumn block calvers that are thinking of purchasing bulls at the minute.
And how are you finding sort of expenses and payments going out of the farm business generally?
So we took the decision not to use fertiliser this year. So we worked out that if we used fertiliser, we'd have to sell a lot more stock. We'd have to sell double what we sell already, which we're never going to be able to achieve. So we took the brave decision not to use fertiliser. Got first cut in the clamp, took really, really well. And the grazing was going well, so we do a lot of rotational grazing as well. That was going really well start of the year, and we thought this year was going to be the year we were going to achieve like really good profit, because we were up because we'd not spent the money on fertiliser to start with, and we weren't really seeing much then. And then after we took the first cut, hit the drought, and round here it can rain 2 miles away and not rain here, and we just missed every little tiny bit of moisture we had or rain 8 weeks. So we went to do our second cut, and we probably left that an extra 2 weeks than we would have done, and we only achieved 1.5 bales to the acre on the normal grass lays. On the chicory and plantain grass lays that were both cut on the same date for first cut, we got 5 bales to the acre on them, so that was quite good. And yeah, I'm a big advocate of them. I think I'll really put some more in these next coming years. So we just put another 20 acres in this last time, and they really seem to be working really, really well for us. And we get a payment on them too, so that makes it all more worthwhile. But yeah, no, I will be. So I've been doing forage budgets these last weeks, and I think I've calculated I need to buy in maybe 250, 300 bales to get me through the winter. Not just because of the lack of rain and not using fertiliser, I don't think. In our process, what we're doing, we don't want to feed any concentrates. We don't want to buy in any brought in feed for feeding for stuff we're finishing. We're trying to finish all our stock off grass alone. So to get to, when a bull goes into the beef market, it needs to be gone at under 16 months old, which would be really hard to achieve off grass alone. So that's why we castrate them basically and take them on as steers. We consider moving them off now instead of finishing them, because the money we'll save in having to not buy extra amount of feed in to feed them. And I think at the minute, the way the market is, I'll probably still make just as much money on them as I would keeping them and buying the feed in to feed them to get to that stage of being finished.
For anybody who's not from a farming background that's watching us at the moment, just explain what a steer is.
So a steer is a castrated male. So a steer is born a male calf, and our purebred that are pure Aberdeen Angus, we wouldn't castrate them. But the crossbred animals will castrate them at a young age.
Okay, great. But if anybody's in the market for an Aberdeen Angus bull at the moment, you've got a couple available by the look of it, though.
Yeah, so like I say, we're down to 6. We had 8 delivered throughout this morning. 8 left in the pens. Buyer came before, brought 2. So yeah, and there is no rhyme or reason to it. You get weeks where you don't get any phone calls at all, and then the next minute the phone's ringing off the hook, and yeah, you just have to stick with it and believe. And we've got quite a good name for ourselves as well now, because we've been doing it a few years now and stuff, so people generally know what we're about. And yeah, there's not many people that come and don't buy a bull.
Thanks for that, Angela. Now, Stephen's been enjoying the sunshine up in Lancashire this week, chatting to James Seedall about his Ayrshire cattle. So let's see how he's gone up there.
Well, it's a windy spot, but the sun is out. Let's find out all about this particular farm, and my guest for today's The Real Country Farm.
Hello, it's James Seedall at Boltonfold Farm, just near Mellor at Blackburn.
Near Blackburn in Lancashire. How many acres are we farming, James?
With about 145 acres with 140 pedigree Ayrshire cows.
So that's these fellas behind you, Ayrshire cows?
Yeah, well, we've got a mix of calves in the shed. We've got some Ayrshire heifers, some Charolais, some Fleckvay, beef shorthorn, and a Belgian blue.
Okay, so Belgian blue, is that a bit of beef, or is that?
Well, your Belgian blues and your Charolais are your beef breeds, your Ayrshires and your Fleckvays are your dairy breeds.
Okay, so predominantly dairy with beef on the side, or predominantly beef with dairy on the side?
Well, we only want to produce a certain amount of Ayrshire replacements to replace the milk cows in the herd. So any other, we'll probably get about 30 of them. So the other cattle that we don't breed replacements off, we use a beef breed on. Then we sell them beef calves. That's about 8 weeks old.
Why Ayrshires?
They're a medium-sized breed, and we're on heavy clay land with high rainfall. We like to get the cows out to graze. So if they're not too heavy, then they're going to float on the mud, all being well.
So I drove in, they're still out now. What are we, like 17th, 18th of October? I've lost track of date, whatever date.
Well, we're 19th, it's the 18th, 19th of October, and yes, we're still going. We've had them out for a good 6 months this year. We're every day is a blessing now. Like I think I've said to you a number of times before, we never worry about a dry day in East Lancashire.
No, that's not, no. So when would you normally, what's it like kind of when they normally be coming in?
Well, they're generally in about now. We are kind of pushing our luck a bit, really. They're just about treading up a bit, the soil conditions with the heavy showers that we've just had. But today's a nice day, so they can go out. They're in at nights at the minute because they're not going to eat anything in the dark, and it's easy to find them because it's still dark at 5:30 in the morning when we start.
And how's that affecting the yield, the milk yield then? Like, if does it drop off a bit?
It can, but we try and keep them level. So as they're coming in, we're increasing what we're feeding in the feed fence. So we have a diet feeder, and we put things like fodder beet. We use a blend with things like wheat and grain and sugar beet and confectionery waste in, and we also use a concentrate feed in the parlour. So yields are holding up pretty well. We just have to be careful we don't try and take too much off autumn grass because it is wet and lush.
Right. So confectionery waste. So they're getting cakes?
Well, it's like biscuit factories. Cows are fantastic recyclers. I think we use things like brewers' grains, which is the grain that's spent after the brewers, the beer makers and the whiskey makers have finished with it. Like I said, confectionery waste, we'll take waste veg. If veg goes over at grading machines and it's not up to spec for the supermarkets, then agriculture, livestock farming will take that.
So you said they're slightly smaller than the Ayrshires. Yeah. What are you looking at per litres per cow then?
Well, your Ayrshire cow tends to weigh about 550 kilos-ish, up to about 650. My cows here are averaging about 8,250 litres per lactation on a 305-day lactation. They have 60 days off every year. They have a nice holiday. Doing about 4.2, 4.4 fat percentage and about 3.5 protein percentage. So they're doing pretty well. We feed them we do look after them. We're not what you'd call an all grass system where they just feed them grass and that's it really.
It's like supplementary diet.
Yeah, we're kind of a halfway house between your intensive dairy with your big Holsteins that are in all the time and maybe your intensive grazing where they're out on probably what would be a drier farm where they can get them out for longer periods.
So who are you selling your milk to? Who's your main customer?
Our milk goes to Yew Tree Dairies at Skelmersdale there, local fellow. Started at Exton and now moved to Skem. He picks our milk up every other day and then he processes it. He'll either dry it into powder and sell the powder. Some of it goes into liquid sales or he'll condense it into creams and sell it that way.
And how long has that relationship been going?
We've been with Mr. Woodcock, Yew Tree Dairies, probably about 12 years now, maybe a bit more, I can't just remember.
So you got a good solid understanding when things like this year happen with costs going up, there's an open dialogue between you both?
We try to have an open dialogue. He tells us the price and we agree. Or not.
And is it all right at the minute? Are you doing all right?
Milk price is probably somewhere in the region of 48-50 pence, which kind of, if you look at, is really good at the minute. But then we have to take into consideration the hike in our input costs.
Right, so it kind of levels itself. We've heard that a couple of times on the Real Country File, that you might be getting more, but it's costing you more to get there.
Well, I think some of these processors have gone to retailers and said, look, if you want the milk, you're going to have to pay for it because these lads can't do it for free for much longer.
Right. And the beef job then, so where does your beef head off to and how's that looking?
Well, we don't actually rear beef calves here, but what we do with the beef calves that are born on the farm, we get them to about 8 weeks old, so just short of weaning, 8-10 weeks old, and then we sell them into Lancaster market where the beef rearing guys will pick them up from there. The expenses, the feed prices and things, and the power, electricity, diesel has kind of affected that market this summer. What's starting to happen is these rearer guys are kind of realising, or they've seen the costs increase in getting that animal to killing age, and they don't want to just put as much money into an 8-10 week old calf because they're unsure of what they're going to get at the other end. It's particularly affecting native bred heifer calves like your Angus and your Herefords and your beef shorthorns, and also your dairy bred bulls, which we try and get into the beef market.
So the cost then, or the price that you're getting, what are we looking at a minute? Dropped a bit then, potentially?
I would say across the board, these calves have probably dropped to about £100 a piece.
Okay.
It probably costs somewhere between £2.50 and £3 a day to feed your baby calves. That's probably not including my labour. When you work for yourself, you don't count it in, do you, really? You probably should. So you can't even think, if you've got a calf that's 60 days old, maybe 70 days old, that's what, £150, £210 for that animal. When you get to auction, the least you want to do is clear your costs, don't you, really?
Yeah.
You've got to, you can't live off fresh air.
No. So, James, we're hoping to come and catch you a few times over the winter and kind of follow the story of how the winter affects everything, and maybe one or two of the government decisions. They seem to be making one or two a day at the minute that has a direct or indirect effect on farmers. All right, if we catch up with you on the Real Country File a few times this winter?
Yeah, anytime you want, Steve.
Super job. Fingers crossed for not so much of the white stuff, mate.
Well, it's pretty on a Christmas card, isn't it?
Yeah, let's leave it there. Thanks, James.
Thanks for that, Stephen. Anyway, what interesting stories have you got that you want us to cover? Do you want us to come to you? Can you send them in to us? Let us know, obviously, in the comments. And also, if anyone is up for doing a bit of sponsorship on the channel, that would be welcome. Helps to pay for the mileage for getting out and about. Anyway, that's all for this week. Thanks for watching. Oh, sorry, I should have said, if you want to get in contact, use the comments or find our email address in the comments, in the description underneath the video, and get in touch. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next week.